Hi YouTube!
Hi, how's it going? I'm the Yang.
I'm the Yang.
And we're Wife and Wife from wifeandwifeblog.com.
Yes.
Well, this evening we have a special topic that was emailed to us by one of our readers about dealing with a difficult situation at home. So we just wanted to talk about that and our experiences and try to give some advice to other people that are in a similar situation.
That's right. So I guess the topic's going to be basically coming out to your parents and dealing with difficult reactions from family members. We did receive one email about that, but we've received numerous notes and messages over the years that we've had the blog with other people in their situations. So we decided to make a video to let everyone know that things eventually will work out like it worked out for us. We both didn't have the easiest of times with that whole coming out thing and dealing with our parents and family members, and even now it's still a struggle, but you can still be happy and live your life for you without worrying about the reactions from your family or the negative comments and everything.
Right. So I'll quickly go through my experiences as a teenager. I really didn't come out. Most of my girl-on-girl activity was on the low-low. I dated a couple guys during high school, so my parents just assumed that I was like a tomboy or whatever, and they were suspicious that I was messing around with girls, but they weren't sure. They would tell me about it. I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing anything like that. But I was anyway. So most of my dealings as a teenager was kept in secret in the closet or whatever. I didn't officially come out. I decided when I was a teenager that I didn't want to officially come out until I met the right person, because I didn't want to go through all that drama. I didn't want to go through all that drama unnecessarily for somebody somebody I was messing around with as a teenager, and then I'm not talking to them anymore, and it's just a waste of time. So I wanted to wait till I found that special somebody, and so I didn't come out to my parents officially till I met Yin when I was 22, and I was moving out of the house. So I told them when I moved out of the house. Actually, I moved out of the house first, and then came out to them. So they really couldn't say anything because I was already out of the house. They weren't doing anything for me financially or anything else. So I mean, if they didn't like it, who cares? I was out on my own anyway. So that was the route I took. Yen actually came out when she was a teenager, so she can probably tell you guys how all that worked.
In high school, I never had a boyfriend. Well, even now, like, I've never had a boyfriend or whatever. So I started hanging out, I think this was like my 11th grade year. I started hanging around a certain group of girls or whatever, and there was a stud in the group, and I was like going out a lot with the group of girls or whatever, and like my mom never knew that the stud was part of the group until one day she saw the girl out and about somewhere, and one of my sisters actually pointed the girl out and was like, oh, that's Yen's friend, the one she's always hanging out with. And my mom came home and asked me about it. She's like, that girl that you're always hanging out with, she looks gay to me. Is she gay or whatever? Then I was like, oh yeah. And then she's like, oh, okay. And so a little while later, like still months went by, whatever, months or weeks, I don't quite remember. It was like 10 years ago almost. And so she started asking me questions. She's like, so you still haven't found any boys you're interested in? You still haven't thought about having a boyfriend or whatever? Well, maybe, then my mom was being sarcastic. She was like, maybe you should ask your friend, the stud, to hook you up with someone. And I'm like, why would I do that? And then she's like, well, it seems like you're not interested in any guys. And so I kind of just brushed it off. But later that night, we were home alone, and I decided to just go ahead and let her know. And so she was actually cooking dinner, and she was taking some chicken, baked chicken out of the oven, bent down into the oven. I was kind of like, Mommy. And then she was like, what? And then I was like, I'm gay. And then she was like, what? And I was like, I'm gay. And then I just bust out crying, and like she nearly fell in the oven with the pan of chicken or whatever, but like at the time she was like, oh, it's okay, and she hugged me and she was like, I still love you, everything's going to be okay, it doesn't matter to me. But that was just in the moment. The next day or a couple days later, things started going downhill from there. I came home one day, all my belongings were packed. She told me I was moving out with my dad. That actually didn't end up happening, but things really went downhill from there. She had me calling crisis hotline centers and trying to get me to move into like a runaway shelter and talking about sending me to shock therapy and all of this. This was my 11th grade year of high school, so I was 16, I believe. Yes, I was 16 when I told her.
Devil out you.
Yeah, because she was like, you weren't raised this way. We didn't teach you to grow up to do this and all of this stuff. And it was like a really hard experience for me. The whole summer after my 11th grade year, I wasn't allowed to go out anywhere. I was just allowed to go to work and come home. So that whole summer was spent basically reading books, because I don't believe I was allowed to use the computer or the phone either. So it was basically checking out lesbian books from the library.
Erotica.
Yeah, lesbian erotica and other books about teenage lesbian girls and like their problems and issues. And that was my whole 11th grade summer, the summer after 11th grade.
Yeah, so there's pros and cons to each. I mean, I wanted to avoid all that, what she went through. So that's why I didn't come out until I was out of the house. But then a pro to her coming out is like her mother has known for a longer period of time. So it's like when my mother found out, I was an adult, and now it's like our relationship is still kind of strained. So maybe if I would have told her, you know, when I was 15 or whatever, like maybe she would have been over it by now. So it all depends on your personal situation. If you don't mind going through what she went through as a teenager, if you're, you know, 15, 16 and you're about to be out of the house in a couple of years, so I mean, if you want to go through that and tell her, then go ahead. But if you're like me, you don't like all that drama, you just want to have your last few years of high school be fun and whatever, like, you can keep it to yourself until you feel the time is right, or until you move out when you're 18 and then come out. But it's up to you personally. Like, those are two. Well,
I personally have to say that even with all the drama, like prior to me coming out, the stress of keeping that secret and holding that in was worse to me, and I feel that was more like devastating to me than the drama that I had once I came out. Like, I've heard some people say it's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you aren't, or whatever like that. I mean, that's kind of how I felt about it. I mean, before I told her, I was really depressed. I contemplated suicide. It was really bad. And even though things were bad once I told her, I feel keeping that secret inside for me was worse. I mean, it depends on your personal situation and how you feel personally. But for me, to get that out, even though my mom treated me like crap afterwards, I felt better having everything out there or whatever, without having to lie about everything and make up stuff and keep everything inside. I'm not sure where she just ran off to. So it's a personal choice, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Of course, if you absolutely know, like, your parents will kick you out of the house, you have nowhere to turn to, then I would suggest, try to keep it in for as long as you can until you can find a better situation. But if you feel okay telling people, then you can just do what you're comfortable with, basically.
Right. I had a personality. I had a ball outside of that house. I messed with not so many girls, but like, I still enjoyed doing what I had to do outside of the house. So it all depends on your personality. Like, keeping that secret inside for me wasn't a big deal because I was having fun. Outside of the house, and she didn't know. So it's like I could come home peacefully, and she just thought I was out with some friends. Little did she know they're like cuddy buddy friends, you know. And outside of the house, she would let me spend the night over their house. She'd never know. You know, if I would have told her, then she was like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to see them. I wouldn't have been able to have those experiences I had. So, like she said, if it's tearing you up inside, if you're getting depressed about it, then obviously, you know, if it's better for you to go ahead and tell, I would make sure you're okay with yourself inside first. But if you're like me, if you don't care, if it's not bothering you, you're still having your fun, I mean, just have your fun. Avoid the drama. Just tell her when you're already out the house. Like, so, I guess it depends on how you feel on the inside.
Yeah. And so now, like I told my mom, it's been about 10 years, a little over 10 years now, like almost 11 years. 11 years since I told her. And things are better now. She still makes her little smart comments from time to time, but she's had a lot of time to adjust. She actually loves her. She really likes her, other than when she's wanting to make a smart comment. But now things are like a ton better than they were back in high school. And so things do sometimes improve with time. So I'm the Yin.
And this is the Yang. We hope our experiences help some of you all with your decision. And no matter what, just love you and know that there's people out there that accept you for who you are. And don't be ashamed of it. Don't be anything about it. Just be you and just, you know, be as happy as you can. So for more, you can visit our blog at wifeandwifeblog.com. You can find us on Facebook. And if you have any other suggestions for topics or anything, questions that you want to ask us, feel free to drop us a line and we will be more than happy to talk about it and answer all your questions.
Bye.